Mel Kiper Jr.'s latest mock draft, and the top looks the same. Joe Burrow remains the #1 overall pick. He's in line to become the third straight Heisman-winning quarterback to be selected #1. No surprise either at #2, and that is defensive end Chase Young in this mock draft. The Buckeyes superstar finished with an FBS leading 16.5 sacks last year, set the single-season Ohio State record, and that was despite not playing every game. His teammate, Jeff Okudah, who, by the way, will be live on our show later this morning, is at #3. Opponents just couldn't get anything done at a 14.2 QBR when he was the primary defender. He's spectacular. And so is the #4 projected pick. That's linebacker Isaiah Simmons, who won the Butkus Award this year. Absolutely spectacular. And again, those are the top 4 picks. None of those have changed. But as Mel Kiper joins us live, now the fun begins. Mel, let's talk about the #5 pick in your latest mock draft to the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, Justin Herbert. You think about Greeny, where Tua is right now. Justin Herbert has been going through this draft process since the end of the year. Didn't have any hiccups along the way. Talk about Joe Burrow nailing it from game 1 up until the final championship game. Justin Herbert really came on, improved this year. Think about when he was blitzed, when he was pressured, the improvement was 53% up to 61%. Finished strong, showed his mobility, showed his athleticism as well in that Rose Bowl. You think about what he did at the Senior Bowl week, Senior Bowl game MVP. Has done it all correctly and what NFL people wanted to see. And certainly for Tua, the durability concern is why I've dropped him to 6. Some think he could drop a little further than that. I don't. I think if he's there for the LA Chargers, he would make an awful lot of sense.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me because you see some of our analytics projecting the way this thing goes, and they see Tua going earlier, but you're telling us what you're hearing. And the suggestion here is that what you're hearing is that the concerns over his injuries will just overcome all of his talent.
Exactly. It's all about that, Greeny. And it's not only just about the injuries he's had, but protecting his body, not taking hits. Well, you'll learn to do that once he's in the NFL. And I think that long-term and even short-term, long-term durability once he's an NFL quarterback is the reason why Justin Herbert maybe has moved ahead right now.
Okay, so Mel, stay with me here because I've got Dominique Foxworth and Ryan Clark are with me this morning as well, and I want to get their reaction. And Nick, I will start with you. If indeed next Thursday night Justin Herbert's name is announced 5th in this draft and ahead of Tua's, what will you say on this show next Friday morning?
I say that was a mistake. Like, I understand the injury concerns, but I think you should always go for the higher ceiling, particularly at that position. I think that some of his injury concerns could be based on the fact that he's not protecting himself, but some of it is also fluke. Like, he got sacked. Players get sacked, and sometimes things break and sometimes they don't. I think most of the quarterbacks will at some point experience an injury, but I'd rather go for Tua, who people project has the potential of being like an all-pro type player, Pro Bowl type player, rather than go with Justin Herbert just because he gets injured less, who no one's really projecting that high. Like, people think that he may be a starter in this league, and that's kind of the ceiling for his projections. We all could be wrong, but right now, based on the information that we have, I think I'd go for the higher ceiling guy who happens to be a little higher risk in Tua, rather than go for Herbert, who I feel like maybe stay healthy, but may not ever rise to that level.
It's a really interesting piece of that there. Mel, I'm going to come back to you on that in a minute, but let me get RC in. Good morning, Ryan Clark. Same question to you. If indeed Herbert does go ahead of Tua Thursday night, what will you say here Friday morning?
I'll say I understand. Like, I get it. You know, when you're a GM or you're a head coach and you're looking at this decision, you look at Tua Tagovailoa, and it's just not about the hip injury. It's about the history of injuries. It's about his resume showing that he may not be available for games. And you know that in this age, you can move on from an early pick at quarterback, but usually when you move on, the same head coach, the same GM is not there. And so they're going to make the safer pick. And I don't think people are looking at Justin Herbert as just a starter in this league. They think he could be a good player. So if this happens, I won't be surprised. But I, like Dominique, would go for Tua because I like the higher ceiling guy.
So, Mel, I want to come back to you on that because we all understand that the evaluation on Tua is completely skewed by the injury. But I sort of share Dominique's feeling going into this. Not that I've scouted these guys, but I feel like the sense I get from all of you who do is that the ceiling on Herbert is markedly lower. Let's talk less about Tua and talk more about Herbert. Is he worthy of being the 5th pick in the draft?
I don't get the ceiling low on Herbert. I think the ceiling's high. He's got a ton of talent. I heard that from different people. It blows my mind. There's a bust factor there, no question about it. But once he got out of Oregon, he showed Senior Bowl week and Senior Bowl game what he could do. He's got a ton of talent. upside is through the roof. He's got as much physical, athletic ability. He's super intelligent, rocket arm. He can run. Ran faster than Jordan Love at the combine, under 4.7. Are you kidding me? The kid's got awesome talent. Will it come together in terms of anticipation and all that in the NFL? We'll see. In terms of Tua, you talk about ceiling. He had 4 first-round receivers to throw to. I mean, come on. He has a right tackle who's going to be a top 11 pick in the first round. I mean, there's an awful lot around him. He had Josh Jacobs at running back, and then he had Najee Harris. So the talent level around Tua was phenomenal. This notion that Justin Herbert shouldn't be up there, when I talk to NFL people, they've always liked Justin Herbert, just like they always liked Josh Allen. Everybody in the media hated Josh Allen. Well, the NFL really liked Josh Allen, and he's panned out in the NFL. Justin Herbert, the NFL, there's some NFL teams have loved Justin Herbert from the start of the season up until right now.
Dominique, go ahead, jump in real quick.
I like Josh Allen as a comparison because I'm not sure that most people would think that Josh Allen has reached the potential that you would expect. I think having all the tools but never having put it all together in college is the exact recipe that ends up with a lot of busts. I'm not saying that Herbert's going to be a bust, and I'm not saying that Josh Allen is a bust, but I'm saying that Tua feels like he is projected because he's put it all together. And you're right about all the talent around him, but he's put it all together in college games for multiple seasons, and we've yet to see Herbert put it all together. So he may find the right situation to do it in the pros, but we haven't seen it yet.
Go ahead, RC.
And the other thing about saying Tua Tagovailoa has 4 first-round receivers, Alabama always has first-round players. You weren't picking A.J. McCarron that high. Nothing against Greg McElroy, our colleague. You weren't picking him that high. Even Jalen Hurts. Tua Tagovailoa is a difference maker. But if you believe that Justin Herbert is as good as Mel Kiper is saying is, or some of these NFL people, I will understand taking the safe bet over Tua Tagovailoa, but you will always be looking to see what Tua Tagovailoa becomes, because if he reaches that ceiling, he will be an all-pro player for a decade and a decade to come.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.